Hello and welcome to the fourth video on 3D printing for repair. In this video we will dive into the second part of the redesign phase and provide you with different methods and tools for you to capture and digitize the geometry of your part. In the previous phase, you learned how to redesign your part for the 3D printing technology of your choice. We will now provide you with tools to be able to measure and capture the geometry of your part so you can use that information to make a digital version or model of your component. So how do we go from a physical part or sketch to a digital design? We will briefly discuss the characteristics, advantages and disadvantages of the following methods: manual scanning, photogrammetry, photography guidance, and finally, we will give you some recommendations for the next step, which is CAD modeling. The best option for digitizing your part is to measure your part by hand and then model it in a CAD software. The 3D Printing for Repair guide explains a number of measuring tools in detail. Today, we will discuss two: a caliper, good for measuring distances, and a protractor, which can measure angles. The picture on the right shows you how to use a protractor to measure the angle between the edges of the component. In this case, the protractor reads an angle of 120 degrees between the two lines. This image shows an example of how to use a caliper to measure the distance between these two external edges using the external jaws marked in blue. Whenever you need to measure distances of internal edges, use internal jaws, which are marked here in green. You can choose to use an electronic caliper or an analog one like the one in the picture. In this case, please always make sure that you read the measurements from 0 to 0, as indicated by the red arrows. In this example, the distance between the two edges is roughly 46 millimeters. When measuring by hand, take as many measurements as possible and double-check important measurements. Try to measure at a 0.1 millimeter accuracy, which is easier when using an electronic caliper. Making a sketch of your part can also be very helpful to keep track of all necessary measurements. Please keep in mind that this method is not suitable for measuring very complex shapes and curves. Another way to digitize your part is by using photogrammetry or 3D scanning. In this method, you rotate the camera around your part and take a lot of pictures at different angles. All these pictures are then merged together in a special software to make a 3D model. This option can help you to get complex and organic shapes right. However, it is very time-consuming and it produces limited quality and details. We only recommend this approach when it is strictly necessary. You can find more about it in the guide as well. Please keep in mind that 3D scanning should only be used as a supporting tool to capture certain important features of the part, and not as a replacement for the redesigning phase. Remember that making exact copies of a part will not give good performance results. An easier alternative to photogrammetry is to use photography guidance. You can take a picture of your part from directly above and use this as a background reference in your CAD software, as shown in the picture on the right. Make sure your picture is not skewed, provides an orthogonal view of your part, and that it is scaled correctly using a reference measurement in your picture. In this image, you can see an example of a setup to make pictures of orthogonal views of your component. At the bottom, you can also see an example of an image that will be useful for photogrammetry guidance and an image that was incorrectly taken. This one is marked with a red X. You can find a step-by-step approach for using photography guidance in the 3D Printing for Repair guide. Finally, to make and edit your 3D part, you will need CAD modeling software. There are multiple options available based on experience level. For example, there is Tinkercad or SketchUp for beginners, both of which are free software. There are also a lot of online tutorials to help you get started. You can find links to some tutorials in the 3D Printing for Repair guide. We will also dive deeper into this subject in the following videos. In summary, to digitize your part, you can use different methods depending on the complexity of the geometry, as well as the time and resources you have available. In the following videos, we will dive into the 3D modeling and manufacturing. See you then!